A millionaire walks into a restaurant and freezes when he sees his black ex-wife pregnant waiting tables. The plate slipped from Bianca's trembling hands when she saw who was at table 17. 3 years, 3 long years since he had kicked her out of the house with a suitcase and $1,000, saying that they weren't right for each other and that she didn't fit into his world. And now Ricardo Almeida was there at Bella Vista, the most expensive restaurant in town, showing off his designer suit and watch that cost more than a popular car. Next to him, a stunning blonde laughed too loudly, clearly impressed by the absurdly priced menu. Bianca Santos was only 28, but she felt like she had aged a decade since the divorce. Her 7-month belly weighed heavily on her back as she tried to keep her balance, holding the tray tightly so as not to drop it again. "Waitress," Ricardo called, snapping his fingers as he always did. "We've been waiting for 5 minutes." He hadn't even looked at her yet. Bianca took a deep breath, adjusted her uniform, which was tight because of her pregnancy, and approached the table. When Ricardo looked up from the menu, the world literally stopped. His face drained of color. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. His eyes darted quickly to her belly, her waitress uniform, the name tag with her name on it. "Good evening," Bianca said in the firmest voice she could muster. "Can I take your order?" Ricardo's girlfriend, one of those artificial models he always preferred, looked confused between them. "Do you know her, honey?" Ricardo still couldn't speak. Bianca saw the exact moment when shock gave way to embarrassment, then to barely concealed anger, as if her presence, there was a personal insult to his perfect new life. "She's an old acquaintance," he finally muttered, unable to look her in the eye. "An old acquaintance," Bianca almost laughed at the description. 5 years of marriage, reduced to old acquaintance. She remembered when he used to take her to the same restaurant to celebrate closed deals when he called her my queen, and said she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Of course, that was before she no longer fit into his world. Before he decided that a black wife didn't fit into his new elite social circles. "Whose baby is that?" The question came out of Ricardo's mouth before he could control himself. Bianca felt the familiar stab in her chest. Even after 3 years, he could still hurt her with a simple question. "That's none of your business, Ricardo." His girlfriend frowned. "What do you mean, Ricardo? Who is this woman?" Ricardo's embarrassment was visible. His new doll didn't know he had been married. He probably told everyone she was single, available, with no complicated past. No black ex-wife working as a waitress. "Have you two decided what you want?" Bianca insisted, trying to maintain her professional dignity. But Ricardo wasn't paying attention to the menu. His eyes were fixed on her belly, mentally calculating. "How many months?" he asked quietly. 7. Bianca saw when he did the math. 7 months meant she had gotten pregnant 4 months after the divorce. She also saw the relief on his face when he realized the baby wasn't his problem. "My God, Ricardo," his girlfriend whispered, finally understanding the situation. "Does your ex-wife work here?" Ex-wife. The word echoed through the elegant restaurant like a bomb. Some customers at nearby tables began to pay attention to the conversation. Whispering among themselves, Bianca kept her posture straight. Even though she felt the weight of curious glances, she had learned to be strong over the past 3 years. She had had to learn. "I'll get another waiter to take your order," she said, turning away. Ricardo stood up so quickly that he knocked over his wine glass. "Bianca, wait." She stopped but didn't turn around. She could feel all eyes in the restaurant on them. "What do you want, Ricardo? I need to talk to you. 5 minutes." "We have nothing to talk about." Bianca kept her tone professional but firm. "You made that very clear 3 years ago." Ricardo remembered the words he had said during their last argument. Cruel words about her not being classy enough to keep up with his professional growth. About how important clients looked at him differently when he showed up with a black wife at social events. His blonde girlfriend was visibly uncomfortable. "Ricardo, let's go. This is embarrassing." But he kept looking at Bianca. There was something about the way she carried herself, an unshakable dignity even in this humiliating situation that bothered him, as if she knew something he didn't. "How did you end up here?" he asked, genuinely confused. During their marriage, Bianca had always been intelligent with a degree in business administration, helping him with a company, even without an official position. Bianca finally turned around. His eyes met hers, and Ricardo saw a strength he didn't remember seeing before. Life teaches you a lot when you lose everything in an instant. There was something in her tone, an almost dangerous calmness that made Ricardo feel uneasy, as if she had spent these 3 years not just surviving, but preparing something. "Bianca, your order, sir," she interrupted the tablet in her hand. Like a professional shield, Ricardo was speechless. The woman in front of him was no longer the submissive wife he had sent away. There was a new strength there, something that made him feel small despite all his ostentatious wealth. As everyone in the restaurant watched the awkward scene, none of them could have imagined that this chance encounter was not chance at all. And if this story of unexpected reunions and second chances touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what was about to happen would prove that sometimes fate reserves its best lessons for those who least expect them. Ricardo's girlfriend, who introduced herself as Sophia just to show her superiority, couldn't stop looking Bianca up and down. "So you're his ex-wife? Wow, what an interesting situation." The condescending tone cut through the air like a razor. Bianca maintained her professional composure, but inside she felt the familiar pang of humiliation that she had learned to turn into fuel. "Ricardo never told me he was married," Sophia continued, playing with her pearl necklace. "I wonder why." Bianca saw Ricardo's embarrassment turn to irritation. He always hated when his lies were exposed, especially in public. During their marriage, she had learned to recognize all the signs of his explosive temper. "Sophia, let's go." "To another restaurant," Ricardo muttered, but she was clearly fascinated by the drama. "No, honey, I want to have dinner here. It's interesting to learn about your past." Sophia smiled coldly at Bianca. "It must be hard to wait tables when you're pregnant, especially for someone who used to have a better life, right?" Bianca remembered the day everything had changed. 3 years ago, Ricardo had come home after a particularly important business dinner. He was visibly upset, pacing back and forth across the living room. "Bianca, we need to talk," he had said, avoiding her eyes. "My company is growing very fast. I'm signing contracts with very important people." She remembered feeling a chill in her stomach, and they asked questions about you, about us. Ricardo had stopped pacing and finally faced her. "Some clients get uncomfortable when I show up with you at events." "Uncomfortable? Why, Ricardo? You know why?" Bianca had forced him to speak. "No, I don't know." "Explain it to me, because you're different from them." "Bianca, you didn't come from the same world. You don't have the same education." "Education? I have a degree in business. I have a postgraduate degree. It's not about diplomas, it's about class. It's about fitting in." The word "fittin" had echoed in her head for days. What Ricardo really meant was that a black wife didn't fit his new image as a successful businessman. Now, 3 years later, watching Sophia examine the menu of dishes that cost more than Bianca's monthly salary, she understood perfectly the type Ricardo had chosen to replace her. "You know," Sophia said loud enough for other tables to hear, "it's funny how life turns out. One minute you're married to a successful man, the next you're serving dinner to him and his new girlfriend." Ricardo finally reacted. Sophia, stop it. Stop what? Honey, I'm just making an observation. She laughed, a high-pitched sound that echoed through the restaurant. I wonder what happened. Let me guess it didn't work out because you were too different. Bianca felt the familiar anger rise in her chest, but she took a deep breath. Over the past 3 years, she had learned that uncontrolled anger solved nothing. Intelligence and patience, on the other hand, were powerful weapons. May I suggest the salmon, she said calmly. It's the chef's special for special people. The subtle sarcasm went unnoticed by Sophia, but Ricardo caught it right away. He knew.